Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Moses channel. Today, we have a special guest. I am so excited about this. We've got Invest with Doc here, giant crypto nerd. This guy's a freaking genius. You're going to love to hear what he has to say. He's got an amazing channel, so definitely give him a follow as well, just if you're interested in his insight. He's got some great price predictions that we've done together on a couple of lives, so definitely check him out. Let's bring him out and see what he has to say. Oh, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate being here. I know last time we did this, we had a lot of fun, really enjoyed myself. So pumped to be back here again. Lot of crazy stuff kind of going down in crypto over the past couple days. So it's going to be exciting to see, how we rebound and then the big events that are coming up tomorrow and Friday. So really, really looking forward to this. Happy to be here. Thanks again for having me on. I had a blast last time.
Oh no, dude, I'm so excited to have you on. We had so much fun. And we didn't even see our goal is to make these lives 30 minutes or so, and then we ended up taking like an hour, and just because the conversation keeps going on. And again, you guys, he's got a lot of really, really good insight. So maybe we can kind of just jump into it and kind of tell you guys our goals here. Our strategies to go over market prediction, right? Our first goal is to go over the market, see what that looks like. We're going to then maybe do a little bit of TA with a little bit of price predictions. Then we'll talk about fundamentals. What happened news-wise in the past week within the market? What occurred? What incited this giant drop that we did see here on Sunday? And then we had a bit of a rebound. And what could have caused that? And we'll also go over what that meeting for tomorrow could be, the FOMC meeting could be. So let's get some ideas going here. I'll bring your screen up if you want to bring up maybe some of the bubbles, talk about market sentiment real quick, and then we'll jump over and look at some TA here. All right.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that sounds great. So had a little bit of a sell down. I don't want to get too much into the TA here because I know you're going to go over that, but had this big sell off over the past couple days. And a lot of this was fears because NVIDIA, right? So we look at the weak stock here on NVIDIA. There was concerns that DeepSeek AI, so this is an AI company out of China, and there was concerns that these folks were building faster, more efficient AI compared to the US. So there's rumors that this AI model they built for $6 million versus OpenAI, they've spent billions of dollars into that. And because of that, the market sold off. There was panic everywhere. I did a video a couple days ago, and you could just see NVIDIA fell down 17% in one day. This is wild for traditional stock markets, right? NVIDIA was trading in this 140s, closing in on 150s, and plummeted all the way down to the 110s. I actually picked a little bit up here. Largely, I think this is all overblown. I think NVIDIA, and not just NVIDIA, but other chips themselves, this was all overblown. They're very oversold because ultimately, folks are still going to need these chips, right? They're still going to need the chips. Everyone's developing their own software, but this is what caused panic in the market. And guess what? It wasn't just traditional stock markets. It was crypto as well. That's why we saw this really, really big sell-off. Sunday night, folks saw futures open and it was bad. And we all know, good news travels fast, but bad news travels faster. And I think this is why we're seeing this pullback. We did have a nice little recovery today. Again, I don't want to get too much into TA because some of that's over my head. I think you're much more well-versed in that than me, but we saw a little bit recovery today. Saylor was talking a couple days ago. I think ultimately what I'm looking for is what does the FOMC meeting tomorrow tell us? So January 29th, right now, the current Fed funds rate, it's right between 4.25 to 4.5%. And newsflash, we are not getting a rate cut tomorrow, but nobody's really expecting a rate cut. This percentage here, this tells us, right, people are really betting. There's over a 99% chance that we stay right where we are. But that's not what people are tuning in tomorrow. People are going to tune in tomorrow because Powell is going to give his insights afterwards. So he always holds a press conference after the rate hike decision, and folks are really, really going to kind of tear apart what he says, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because what we are all listening for is he going to hint that we start quantitative easing soon? Or put differently, will we stop quantitative tightening? So I know you guys have all seen this chart, but quantitative tightening is where we are right now. This is
most of my viewers are TA, so you should explain it. Don't even hesitate. This is beautiful. And then also, if you want to explain what those percentages mean in regards to the rate cuts, that would be awesome. That would help. So don't be afraid. Yeah, bro, go in detail. The audience usually on my channel are TA meme token nerds, right? So this is great insight, you guys. Gives us a different perspective. So pay attention to it, and don't be afraid to give him a follow. I'll actually put it here in the comments. I'll find his channel and we'll put it up there. So, like, don't be afraid at all.
Hey, really, really appreciate all the kind words. Yeah, so I really like this stuff. So a lot of the FOMC stuff. So these percentages, folks actually place probabilities. I don't want to say this is similar to like poly markets because it's a little bit different, but this is sentiment on where the market will be tomorrow. And actually, I can just really quick put in the Fed Watch tool because I think this is important for folks to know. We can look at different dates, and this will give us some insight. So this is what we're looking at, what we just looked at. Now it's pulling down a little bit. Guys, we're not getting a rate cut tomorrow. The rate is going to stay at 4.25 to 4.5. But what we're really looking at is where will the rate cut be towards the end of the year. So don't get overwhelmed by this chart. I promise it's not bad. This is where we are right now. 4.25 to 4.5 percentage, the Fed percentage rate. So before like the first week of December, it was projected that we would have 4 rate cuts. Okay, inflation started going back up. Folks were worried about the unemployment number. So December 16th, Fed Powell came out and he said, hey, we are not going to be as aggressive with our rate cuts. Powell said we're going to go from 4 rate cuts in 2025 to 2 rates in 2025. So that's what caused all that kind of that sell-off in December. But this is really interesting because we have this meeting right here, January 29th. That's tomorrow. There's a 97% chance that the rate stays the same. Well, the following meeting in March, there's a much higher percentage that we get a quarter of a rate cut, quarter percentage rate cut. So that goes to 32%. Here's the thing. These percentages change all the time. They're not static. The interesting thing is the market is projecting at least 1 rate cut by May 7th. Okay. There's a 62 or roughly a 61% chance that we have a rate cut in May. Why is this all important? You guys, I know you're probably thinking like, I don't really care what the Fed fund rate is. Well, lower interest rates favor risk on assets like Bitcoin, like the Russell 2000, like the NASDAQ, and right, we're all crypto investors here. So we want cheap money. I'm sure y'all can all remember if we go back to the interest rates in 2021 right here, this is where we dropped interest rates. And we all know what happened to Bitcoin in 2021, right? Interest rates fell, money was cheap to borrow, the entire system was flooded with money, and that's what caused Bitcoin to just absolutely rally. So, of course, I put this on the wrong scale here, but we just want cheap money, right? And that's what this is showing us here. So I really do think that by May, we'll have at least 1 rate cut. Lower interest rates will favor risk on assets, and we can finally, hopefully, get our pump, right? Get our alt bags pumping. The last thing that I'll kind of talk about here, because I know I'm being like very, very long-winded, is I want this to stay right where it's at. I want this to come to candles. Okay, so let's go to Bitcoin dominance, and I'm going to get rid of this. Sorry. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance. This has been spiking the past couple days. We're at 59%. This is the week chart here. It's just been going straight up. We're almost getting back to 60%. Nobody thought we were going to see this again, right? So that's why our alt bags are really hurting, right? For those that don't know, Bitcoin dominance. This is just the percentage of the total market cap that's in Bitcoin. We really need this to fall for us to get into alt season. So yeah, Wednesday's a big day, right? Not because we think that we're going to get a rate cut decision, but really we're trying to see if we're going to go into, or if we're going to stop quantitative tightening. So that's what I'm looking for. Quantitative tightening. That's where we're going to stop reducing the Fed balance sheet. So this is where we are right now. We need the Fed to stop reducing their balance sheet because we're just selling off assets. Think of this as a vacuum sucking money or sucking liquidity out of the system. Well, risk on assets usually don't do well in environments like this. We want to go back to quantitative easing where the Fed is putting assets back on their balance sheet. They typically do this with like treasury bonds, right? We buy our own treasury bonds, but I'm hoping that we can get this to kind of start going back up. If we could get back up to 9 trillion, Bitcoin would fly. We would be at a $250 Bitcoin without question. So
250,000.
Yeah, 250,000. Sorry, I'm getting excited over here.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. That's music to my ears to hear, and a very, very great perspective. Very, very, very great breakdown. Like that is very well done. I've never actually thought of looking at quantitative easing and tightening, but very, very well explained. Well done. What else do you think? Anything that you think could also impact the price here? Fundamental. What else you got? Yeah.
I think there's a couple things here. So I put a tweet out on this, of course. Let me see if I can find it real quick. We've got some economic data not coming out just tomorrow, Wednesday, but Friday we have core PCE inflation. So this is important for a couple different reasons, right? Obviously, the higher that inflation goes, the less likely we will be to cut rates. So it's going to be interesting to see, the forecast is 0.2%. We're going to see where this falls. That's the month over month number. We'll see where that falls. I think the take home is this. If core PCE can be at or below expectations, that would signal to the Fed, okay, inflation is, although it's important, we're going to put it on the back burner now. And we want to worry more about the unemployment rate because those are the two things that the Fed balances, inflation and the economy, i.e. the unemployment rate. So they're always balancing these things, right? If inflation goes up, the unemployment rate typically tends to go down and vice versa. So I think we just got to get through tomorrow first, right? Let's see what the FOMC meeting. This is the Fed press conference. We're all going to be looking at this. This is Eastern time too for those watching. So 12:30 Eastern, 12:30 Eastern. Yeah, this will start. So that's what I'm watching for. And then obviously Friday inflation. What this means for you is volatility, right? We've seen Bitcoin kind of going up and down the past few days. I mean, the daily candle, we've just had these crazy wicks. So these two events is kind of what we're looking for. I think other things to just maybe pay attention in the background is, MicroStrategy. They continue to make these really, really big buys. The Trump Foundation, WorldFi, they have almost $400 million on assets. They continue to buy Bitcoin and ETH. So we're going to see where things go, but Wednesday and Friday are kind of our two big things right now.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So fundamentally, we've got two important days this week, right? And when we want to when we combine that with TA here, let me pull this up. This totally random, boys, and we'll do a whole video on this. This is a spreadsheet explaining liquidation numbers and then leverage math to make it easy to be able to take quick positions and then understand your liquidation price. So you know when to pull out and you know how to actually set up your play. And we'll talk about that here in another video. But when we get to the BTC and we look at the TA specifically here, one thing I want to point out, you guys, okay, we got a lot of drawings, obviously. If you watch the channel a lot, you guys know that we use a lot of support and resistance lines, and we're always chasing trend lines and looking for divergence within the price action with RSI. So let's actually get out of the month chart. Well, no, let's go back. In the month chart, we saw that all of November, we just had a run up, 51%. Doc, I was going to say this earlier, bro. Isn't this crazy to think that an asset that we're in went up 50% in under 30 freaking days? Like, that's insane. I know that we're starting, right? We are starting to see volatility like this within the regular market. I mean, like we just saw the NVIDIA situation go down, but think of the type of catalyst that ended up making a move like that happen. Where here, it just became steady gains over time. It was a small catalyst in the beginning of the month, and then it just continued to push it. I actually think, it wasn't the beginning of the month because that's when he was elected, I believe. And then it just kept pushing it 50%. Next month, it went up another 20%. And then this month that we're sitting at, it was volatility moving around another 20%. Is there any other asset that you can think of that moves this much?
Not at all. And it's interesting too, folks always think like, oh, the S&P, I'll get an average of 10 or 12%. That's like a weekend for us, right? Up and down. So it's interesting. You've got all this, people are kind of addicted to these big returns. And I actually think this is one of the big things that you can sell people on Bitcoin is there are these outsized returns. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is traditional finance folks, they love trading options on these plays because there's a lot of premium in that volatility.
No, perfectly well said. And let's break out here, I guess, some of the pictures. Please don't mind how bad some of them are. I wish I could hide these, bro, and then easily bring them back. I have to just remove them, which is okay. I guess the boys got the live on there. But we basically, you guys, we have these purple lines, which these purple lines are defining the liquidity zones. And we use the liquidation heat map to find those numbers. So I can put the link here in the description. And I'll do a whole video on it, but we basically use this liquidation heat map to find points where there's a lot of money sitting for liquidations. And then we take those lines and see how well Bitcoin stays within them, right? And then the next goal is to find there it is, to find these channels and see kind of where they're at and watch Bitcoin follow through with them. Like you guys, if you are in the Patreon, you saw that we drew this about 2 days ago, and it has just been following from top to bottom. And this is such an easy play because, so we like to leverage, and you know that, right, Doc? Like I love using BTCC and I leverage on it. And then in this exact example, at a 5% gain, so I can go back to the spreadsheet here, right, and say, okay, I want to make a 5% gain, and let's say I'm willing to 250x leverage it, right? And my margin is only $500, so my risk at play is $500. So I can do this times the 250x, and let's assume that I gained that 5% here. That would have been my gain on that play. I would have made 6,250.
Wild. You're not doing that anywhere else.
At all. Only in crypto. And literally, it's when you're finding these types of channels and these simple plays. A lot of people complicate trading and they complicate TA, and TA can feel complicating at first, especially when you have so many indicators everywhere. But the real trick to it is to use a simple indicator that's going to give you momentum, use volume, and then most importantly, use price action and then the patterns that the price action is creating. So from what we see here, I am still expecting it, right? So this morning when we did our TA with the live that we do every day, we had drawn that after this rejection here, we do expect it to go down. And it's either going to get rejected here and go back down, or it will break through here and then hopefully maybe consolidate back up here. So right now, it's actually looking like this is going to be the narrative we see. And the reason I can say the higher probability of that is because we can see it was rejected, right? Look at that. It got rejected on there. Let's even lower the candles. We can see exactly what happened. Hit down here. It's like, all right, let's catch back up. And then it got rejected. And now we're creating a hammerhead candle. And if it turns into a hanging man, I'm for sure, or a shooting star, for sure it's going to go down. And we're probably just looking at getting back down to support levels either here or down to here, right? And the only reason I would stop here is because this was an old spot. But down here is the heaviest positions that we see a lot of touches. And here's the thing, you guys. A lot of people are freaking out, right? If it's under 100K, Bitcoin's dead. Holy shit, we're screwed. That's not the case, you guys. That is not the case. We need this type of pullback. We cannot have just an unlimited up for the next 10 years. That's just not sustainable, right? The bubble will pop, and then we're all screwed, right? Where in this case, It's an actual asset that moves with human emotion. So personal opinion, we want this type of pullback. We want to see this happen. We want the market to kind of reload itself. And as long as it does that, I do believe we'll get back to some all-time highs. I mean, you guys, we topped out here at $109,000. And literally we went up, as we said, 50% in under 30 days. And that's this year. Again, no other assets doing that. So just don't let these little drops ruin your crypto fun, and just understand that it's okay. It's normal. It happens. And there is still a lot more to come in this market, right? It's not going to slow down. It's not going to slow down.
No, I think we're literally just getting started here. You know, we always think, you know, post halving year, we get technically, you know, Q4, we get these returns, you know, these outsized returns, this alt season. And, you know, the other thing I was going to mention is we're talking about these awesome games with crypto, right? And like most things in life, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? If it was so easy, if we didn't have these wild swings, everybody would be in it, right? So we're trading these outsized returns for some volatility, right? Like literally put your seatbelt on, enjoy the ride. We're going to have some ups and downs, but if you can stomach that, you'll be rewarded. What's one way to help you stomach all of this? Get in a group like Moses, get in his Patreon, right? You're going to be connected with like-minded folks and you're going to be able to ride these waves out. Trust me, when the market went down from like 109 to I think we hit 97, we wicked down to 97 or 98. I'm like, I need to get in the Discord, the Patreon, and just like talk this out with some people. We're going to be okay, right? Some collective, you know, hey guys, we're going to get through this. And then the other thing is you're showing all this TA. I'm learning TA myself, and you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes folks might see all these different indicators, all this stuff's going on. The best way to learn TA is to like get in these live streams with you folks and like just watch how they do it day by day. Take one indicator at a time, learn that one indicator, and you just start slowly adding indicators, and it becomes a lot more digestible, not so overwhelming. Awesome. That's the one thing that I really appreciate the live streams that you do.
Hey, I really, really appreciate that. That means a lot. And honestly, bro, I've been learning TA since 2018. Bro, I wasn't profitable until 2021. And even then it was light profitable. I didn't understand leverage. I was using just spot. Right. And then it took me another 2 years to start getting, I started losing money when I played with leverage originally. Right. Because leverage, you lose more than you win. But then when you win, you're really taking those big rides. Right. Because think about it, a 5% movement on BTC with $500 margin at 250x, and that's you $6,000 plus. Right. That's insane. Right. That gives you another 10 plays. So you're telling me that you can find 10 different trend lines that could work to that advantage. And TA is all perspective. Right. I'm not a big feely person, but realistically it is. It's all about perspective and how you feel within the market when you're looking at the price action. So it's okay for once to feel a certain way towards a TA play and then use that to your advantage, especially if you stick to your guns. I've seen people that were bears that have made a lot of their money even in the up market. And I've seen people that were bulls that have made their money in the down market. Right. You can catch swings. It's just about being persistent and having the charts up, and then understanding, are you long-term trading? Are you swing trading? Or are you day trading? And then understanding your entire strategy for that specific move. Worst thing I've seen people do, and I just want to throw this out there, is people will try to swing trade while using day trading strategies, right? And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I see that a lot, especially on like the one-on-ones. I see that a lot. That's, I think, the biggest mistake people make by accident. You know, it's not like they're choosing to. I think it's by accident.
I think what I'm hearing is maybe a lot of folks don't always have a plan, right? And it's like really being concrete and specific, like, hey, these are my goals. These are my plan that supports my goals. And then it's like sticking to your guns, right? And you're mentioning like all these different setups. I think it's a lot easier to get into leverage when you're like looking at all these indicators and you're like, okay, this makes sense. There's a high probability that we're going to bounce here, or that, right, this looks like support. Yes. And leverage trading becomes a lot easier when you understand this basic TA. And then heck, even if you have like a group who's kind of also riding this train with you, I think all of these small things really add up. And I was telling, gosh, I think I was talking to Kate about this, and you know, we're talking about these huge gains. You just talked about $500 potentially turning that into $6,000 on like a 5% move. Right, a lot of us get into crypto because, you know, we caught the bug in 2020 or maybe earlier, and we all hear about these people hitting these big lottery plays on maybe, you know, this random meme. Well, one thing that I think I want people to think about, and I know you're all about this, is instead of taking all of this risk investing in, you know, Joe Schmo meme coin, why not take an asset like Bitcoin, Solana, Sui that has a ton of volume behind it, leverage trade it, right? So you can still get these really big outsized returns, but you are limiting your downside risk because you know Solana's not going to rug pull, right? They're not going to like rinse or flush the liquidity. So it's a way to still be exposed to some of this upside while also protecting yourself on the downside. And I don't think people understand that with leverage trading.
No, that was so perfectly well said. That is exactly the strategy. And you want to know something funny? My meme token trading strategy is the exact same type of concept, except I just in my mind know I'm going to lose the whole balance, right? And so far, it actually has worked. It has worked, and it just sometimes you get lucky. You get one token that 50 or 100 X's, and then it just sits in the balance, and then you just keep using it. And you want to know the trick to that? I stick to my guns. Every play, every position is only $200 worth of Ethereum. $200 worth of Solana, $200 worth of base. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't give a damn how much conviction I have for the meme coin. I don't care if I think it's going to 1000x tomorrow. It doesn't matter, right? If it did, great. If it didn't, great. That's the best way. And you just stick to that strategy, right? You just stick to it. So that's kind of how we try to think it through.
It's clearly working too. Like I'm in the Patreon, in the Discord all the time. And like, I love seeing all the, you know, percent gains that people make on their trades. Like that's motivating in and of itself. Right.
Yeah.
So sounds like, yeah, having a plan is super, super underrated.
Oh man. Thank you. Well said. Well, look, we are getting close to the 30-minute mark, and I've got I've got one more meeting tonight, but that's okay. Cause you know, it's late for me. I'm like an old man, right? I sleep so early. But you know, it was awesome having you here. Any closing words you want to say? Anything you want people to know? Oh, I will say this. Make sure you guys check out his channel. It is in the comments. So please check out his channel at youtube.com/investwithdoc. Very, very well done. Very great name. As you can see, he's got great fundamental insight. He's also learning TA, so you get to watch that journey. And my recommendation, you guys, a mistake I made that really screwed you guys over is I never recorded that journey. He is, in a sense, you get to watch some of his trades. Use that to your advantage because you might catch something that helps you learn that he might have done by accident. Use that to your advantage. Be the easiest way for you to learn as well. Rather than watching professionals who are already doing it all the time, use somebody who's learning with you because I think you're going to actually learn it faster. And that's just a simple piece of advice. So check out his channel. Click that follow button. Click that subscribe button.
Hey, appreciate all the kind words. Really, really appreciate you having me on. We'll have to do this again in a couple months.
Hey, anytime, bro. I would even say sooner than that. And we'll do a couple more bigger ones, you guys. And I'll try to get the main Patreon link because it's like the company page. I'll get that bad boy, and then we'll get you guys listed on there. If you guys have any questions or need anything, don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you guys so much for watching today. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.